Hi everyone, so today we're going to be learning about user interface, and what a user interface is what your user sees whenever they're using your app. User interface is important because if your user interface doesn't look as good, your user isn't going to want to use it or you play with your app or anything. But if it looks good, it'll look appealing to your user, and that will make them want to use your app. So, MIT App Inventor provides a lot of things that you can use to make your app look usable. Okay, we're going to be using usable a lot because, hey, that's the most important part of your app, okay, that it's usable. So, on your user interface, there's the side toolbar which tells you everything that you can put right here, and this is just a preview of what your app is going to look like. So, a button is what your user can click if they want to move on to a different screen or open up a web page or something like that. A checkbox, if your app included tests or anything like that, that's what your user would check off to where you can get your data. A date picker is where, like, let's say you wanted your user to put in their birthday. That's what you would use a date picker for. Image, so that your user can see any pictures that you wanted them to see. Labels is any text or words that you would like to show on your app. A list picker shows if you have any lists inserted into your app, which we'll go over later on. That's what your user can pick. A list view is, like I said, if you have a list inside of your blocks, it shows a list of your strings, but we'll all get into that later. A notifier, you can put this in for when your app opens or something like that. If you want to say, hey, how was your day? They can pick good or bad, and that can lead them to something else. Or whatever notifications, like what you would get on your tablet, is what a notifier is for. A password text box, that's if you want to use a login page or something like that. That's what your password text box will be. A slider could be used for many things. For example, if you have volume, you could use the slider to turn it up or turn it down. A spinner shows a list of elements that you use, okay? And those can be set in your designer or your list or your blocks. A text box, if you want your user to type in something, that's what that would be for. Time picker, let's say you wanted to say what time is it in your time zone. That's where you would use a time picker for. A web viewer, if you have a website for your app and you want your user to be able to access that whenever they need to, that's what you would use a web viewer for. So, today, let's pretend we're making an app about Ariana Grande. Okay? First things first, let's make sure we have all our data inside first. So first, what I want to do is I want a picture of her inside. So I'm going to go here, upload a file, choose a file. Let's see. Here we go. Here's one. An image of Ariana Grande. Uh-oh. This picture looks a little too big. A way we can fix that is over here in our properties section. You have height and width, okay? So to make a square, you can either have pixels or percent. But for us, we're going to use pixels because we want it all to be the same size. So your height will be 100 pixels and your width 100 pixels. And now the picture you can see. Now, let's say we wanted buttons inside because we wanted to be able to open up to a new screen. So one button, in our properties again, we can scroll down and put our text for our button in. So let's say we wanted one to show her songs, one to show her dogs, and one to have a biography of her. Oh, and also, one more thing, pictures. Okay, so now we have our pictures and our buttons inside, but everything goes to one side. This wouldn't be appealing to our user. So let's start with this picture. Let's start with the screen, okay? So how about, there's two things we can do. You can make everything be centered. You can make it all go to the right, or you can make it all go to the left. And if you're talking about up and down, which is vertical, you can make it go to the center down there, or you can make it go to this bottom. So for this, I want it to be a line vertical to the top and a line horizontal to the center. So first, what I'm going to do with this picture is I'm going to make it a little bigger because that's not what I want. Let's try 200. Okay. Now, for my buttons, they're pretty small. I think I want them to be square. So we're going to go over to our properties again, and we're going to make 150, 100, and another 100. And we're going to repeat that for all of our buttons. Uh-oh. There is no way for us to get to our other buttons. They're all covered up. One thing you can do for this is if you go to your screen 1 in your components section, there's a checkbox where you click scrollable. If you check it, you're able to scroll down. But if it's unchecked, then there's no way for your user to be able to see what's below these buttons. So I'm going to make this scrollable. And now I can change my 2 buttons down here that got thrown away. I can make those the size I want them to be. Notice how I'm making sure all my buttons are the same size and shape. That is called consistency. Your user interface needs to be consistent so that your user doesn't be confused based on what your app is. Okay. Now, when our user opens up our app, how are they supposed to know what this is? For this, we're going to use a label because I want to put some text inside. Okay. So, first, we're going to go down to our text in our properties and search learn about Ariana Grande. Now, that looks pretty good, but I think I want my words to be a little bigger. So I'm going to go to font size, and I'm going to switch my font to 25. And there we go. Now, my buttons down here, I think I want them all to be next to each other. Not vertical, but horizontally. So where I would go is I would click Layout. I would go to Horizontal Arrangement. I would drag that in. And then I would put my pictures in there. But, once again, my user won't be able to scroll over because I just used a regular horizontal arrangement. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all our images out, our buttons out of there. And instead of using this, we're going to use a horizontal scroll arrangement. So now our user will be able to scroll and be able to see every single one of the buttons that we have inserted in here. Another thing is our text color. It's just black. Everything on here seems to be black, gray, and white, including the picture. So, what I want to do is I want to change my text color. And the way you do that is by searching in your properties and going to text color and change it from default to any color you want. But remember to stay consistent within your user interface. So for this, I'm going to choose a red. I automatically would change the color of my buttons text to red too because like I said, you want to stay consistent. Or maybe even a color that matches red, like red and white. That will be good. Or red and black. Subtle things, but not too exciting because, you want it to be appealing, not confusing to your user. Now, maybe my buttons are square. Everything is square or has sharp edges. So another thing you could do to make your app a little more appealing is by changing the shape of your button. So everything we have for everything started off being set as default. So let's change our shape to maybe rounded. Oh yeah, let's do that. See, as of right now, I think our app looks already more appealing than it was before with just black and white. Your app needs to be able to catch the user's attention, but also be easy to use. Notice how we only have a few words on our sheet, one picture, and about 4 buttons. The more consistent and easy your app is to use, the better. Because the judges for Technovation, they like simplicity, and simplicity is key. Alright, and that is it for our user interface. If you have any more questions, there's going to be a second video coming out about more than just buttons and labels and images. We're going to get into how to use your notifier and your spinners and your password text boxes. All of this, if you continue to watch our videos, we are going to teach you how to do all of that. And also, we're going to get into coding so we can add screens, and so there's more than just a screen one. We're going to go into our blocks and we're going to learn how to use that. So we'll keep you posted, and thank you for watching.